Imagine you're in a parking lot and you're drinking iced tea, and some person who's not in a uniform and doesn't show you his badge comes up and demands to know what you're drinking. And when you speak back to this individual, you're arrested for resisting arrest. That's right. Drinking tea shouldn't be a crime, should it? Well, this is a kind of Kafka-esque situation that we've got coming up here. There was a rapper, his name is Xstrav, and we've got him here. He was just filming a music video, and as they finished the rap on it, they went over to an ABC store in North Carolina and were about to get something else to drink, but they had just gotten out of the car when this incident happened. A terrible miscarriage of justice. He's now facing charges that are much more serious than if he had been drinking alcohol in the parking lot of the building that sells alcohol. But again, it sounds like something out of Franz Kafka's novel, The Castle. It is a really bizarre situation. But we've got Xstrav on the line right now. Let's talk to him and get a little bit of what it feels like to be in his shoes. Xstrav? Welcome, Xstrav. Sorry about what happened to you. Tell us a little bit about what led up to that, and actually tell us what your charges are at this point.
Right now, they charge me with trespassing in the second degree and resisting arrest.
Trespassing in the second degree. What's the theory behind you trespassing? That was a public parking lot, wasn't
it? Exactly, so I have no clue.
Wow. And so you resisted arrest because he wanted to arrest you for drinking tea, right?
I guess so, sir.
Wow. Well, tell us a little bit about it. We spoke to Tino Brown, the fellow who was doing the filming for your music video, and who also filmed the incident and put it up on the internet. And he explained to us this afternoon when we talked on the radio, and then we had an interview with him earlier, which we're going to play after your interview, and he told us from his perspective. But tell us from what it was like for you to have this happen to you, from a first-person standpoint.
Oh, this was horrible. It was a horrible situation. I wouldn't want nobody to go through the situation I went through. It just started off as something innocent. Like, I was really about to go into the store. I was just waiting for some people to come in just to get some bottles of alcohol, whatever. We just had a video that same day, just finished shooting. I guess Tina was just getting some more footage. You know, I hopped out the car, playing around with my Arizona, just saying, y'all caught me with the Arizona can drinking. There was no alcohol in there at all. It was a juice. You know what I'm saying? And pretty much you see what happened right after that.
Yeah, we saw that on the video. It's just amazing. And it just absolutely makes no sense, except that we've seen this pattern over and over again with police officers or some other bureaucrat going above and beyond what is reasonable for the execution of their job, and then not backing down on it, but just doubling down when you call them on it. That seems to be what happened here. Is that how you would characterize it?
Exactly. Yeah. I'll put it in the same words. They abuse authority, and it's looked at like it's okay.
Exactly.
And like you told me before, like we talked before, it's becoming an epidemic. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't deserve that. I served my country for about 7 years in the military. But fought for our country. I did a bunch of things for our country just to get treated like I'm some kind of, come on now, like I'm a thug. But he judged me off what I was wearing pretty much. That's what it felt like.
You know, when I spoke to Tino Brown, who took the video, we were talking about how this kind of thing is happening. It isn't a North Carolina thing. It's not an alcohol thing. This is something that we're seeing happening to people everywhere over all different types of issues. And I think one of the reasons that we see this continually happening and getting more and more absurd in the extreme is because people that do this sort of thing, that are working for the government, never get any kind of discipline for this. They never face charges for this. They never lose their job because of this.
Exactly. You get replaced, get put on a desk for a little while, and then as everything calms down, you get right back to when you was doing the same position, abusing your authority and treating people as if you're superior just because you're a police officer. Yeah,
you know, it really kind of goes back to the whole idea of freedom and dignity. And as I mentioned to Tino Brown, when we go to the airports, they're not just after our Fourth Amendment freedoms. They're after our human dignity. And when I looked at this, it made me so angry to see you getting put on the ground and handcuffed because you were drinking tea, and he wants to make an issue out of it. I mean, to me, it would be bad enough if he was going to come at you for drinking on the premises where they're selling alcohol, you know, but they've got all these tripwires set up based on the kind of artifacts of alcohol prohibition. They have a tremendous number of regulations that are there, like tripwires, and they generate revenue for the state, and they hire these alcohol, quote-unquote, law enforcement agents to go out and do this stuff to people. It seems to me it's almost entrapment to set up a store that sells alcohol and then have somebody is going to go out and arrest people for drinking what you just bought in the store under a state license. But you weren't even doing that. You were just drinking tea.
Exactly. I believe it was, as you can see in the video, I just think he was completely abusing his authority. After he realized there was no alcohol in the can, he wasn't even worried about the can anymore. Because at first, you see, he was worried about what I was drinking. He said, "Let me see it." I let him see it. I guess he was mad I didn't put it in his hand. He never asked to smell it. He was close enough to smell me. If I had alcohol in my breath, he would have smelled it.
Absolutely. And
so as you after everything was over with, after he already had me in cuffs, he never even took the can. He wasn't even worried about what's in the can anymore.
And as you were talking, we put the video up of the arrest, and Tino did a great job of filming that because he went over and actually picked up the can out of your hand and held it in front of the camera so people could see that it was Arizona tea.
Yes.
Absolutely crazy. Well, now, where do you go from here? You've got these charges. I imagine that a charge of resisting arrest is a lot more serious charge than it would have been if you were drinking alcohol in the parking lot of the store that the state licenses to sell alcohol. That's probably a lot more serious charge. When is that going to be coming up for trial?
Well, I got a court date June 6th, but right now I'm pretty much talking with legal counsel right now, and I'm discussing about how we're going to go about this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things I know Tino is trying to get the public to rally behind this, as they should. You know, we all have to stand together against this kind of tyranny, or we're going to hang separately, as Benjamin Franklin said. This is something that affects everybody. This isn't just your issue. This is everybody's issue. But one of the things that would help is if people knew what their rights were as jurors. If this thing actually does go far enough, this miscarriage of justice, to actually go to trial, people need to understand that they have the right as jurors to judge not only the facts of a case, but also if they like the way the law, if they like the law and the way the law is being applied. And clearly, I think any fair-minded person would have to say that when they arrest you for resisting arrest because they tried to arrest you for drinking tea, that's not a legitimate use of the law there. But you've also got I think Tino said that you're also going to be working on producing a video, kind of talking about it, singing about it from your perspective.
Yes. I'm in the process of doing the song right now, and just talking about it from my perspective, just being the voice of this situation right now. I just try to do something positive about this situation right here, because it's, like I said, this is ridiculous. It's embarrassing. Nobody should have to get put through this.
That would be a very positive way to turn this bad incident into something that would be good, because, you know, I think people can look at this video. They can see you in the music video, and that'll kind of strike home with them more than if we just talk in an abstract way about individual rights and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. When they see what happens when those rights are abused, I think that's really going to strike home with people.
Me too.
And so when you get that done, let us know, because we really want to do a follow-up article on that and help it to get some more exposure.
I think next day or so.
What's that?
It's probably going to be complete in the next day or so. It's
Great.
going to be real soon.
All right, great. Well, keep us informed, and sorry about what you're going through, and let's hope that, like you said, you can turn this into something positive.
I definitely will, and I appreciate talking to you.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye. Well, it's very important to get a good record, and that Skype connection was a little bit jumpy, but we've got another interview coming up with a person who actually filmed this, and he did such a good job of recording what actually happened that this video is really going viral on the internet. And we want to talk to him about the importance of reporting what you see in public. And everybody needs to be aware of that. Everybody needs to stand up for their rights and for the rights of other people. And that's an important part of filming these incidents. Well, Tino, welcome. We see this happening over and over again. The issues may change, the locations may change, but we're continually seeing the police break their authority, essentially, go well beyond the bounds of authority that they're given and are really never held accountable for it. But tell us a little bit about the story. Tell us what happened in the events, how it unfolded.
Well, I had shot a video that day for Xstrav, the rapper, and after shooting the video, we actually weren't finished with the video. We were on our way to the next location to do another scene. And we stopped by the convenience store. He grabbed the iced tea because naturally, after rapping or talking a lot, his mouth was dry. And we got an iced tea, and he wanted to go by, the liquor store and pick something up before, so we could start the night off the right way. So we stopped by the liquor store, and pretty much we hopped out of the car. Immediately I started filming, because I wanted to get some extra footage, that could possibly go in the video. And the video speaks for itself. It's what you see. So when people ask how long were they hanging outside the store, no one hung outside the store. We had just hopped out and we were waiting. We wanted to wait for about 2 minutes, but we were harassed in less than 45 seconds.
So to give people an idea of what's going on, the ABC stores in North Carolina are kind of a vestige of alcohol prohibition. And they're heavily controlled, heavily regulate the way alcohol can be sold in the state. And when you go up to this store that is so heavily controlled by the state government, and you simply get out of your car, this guy who is an alcohol law enforcement agent, he's not strictly a cop. He's really a bureaucrat that works for the ABC commission. He basically runs over to you guys and is going to come after you. And we see the way this guy acts is really kind of a vestige of drug prohibition. It's amazing how we see drug prohibition changing the attitude of law enforcement to basically just be above the law and not have any standards of conduct.
Yeah, and I mean, we were totally shocked when he first approached us. Like anyone would assume by watching the video, no one knew who he was. He wasn't in cop's clothing. He didn't show a badge until he actually arrested him. He flashed it at that, and I still don't know if it was just a security badge, and I don't know if it was an official police badge, but we were startled. It's like, okay, who are you coming to demand to smell my iced tea?
Right.
We just stopped at a convenience store to grab an iced tea. I mean, you including who wants another man to put their nose up to where you have to put your mouth to drink?
Exactly. So it's a power trip.
Pulling back the can, it makes sense to me why any man would pull back a can, under the circumstances.
It's a power trip. And here's the amazing thing, like I mentioned in the intro, it's kind of like something out of a Kafka novel. Your friend is arrested. He tries to arrest your friend for drinking tea. Now, that's not a crime, okay? And when he resists being arrested for drinking tea, then he is charged for resisting arrest, which is a very serious crime, probably a much more serious crime than if he had been drinking on the premises. And what's the deal about drinking on the premises where they've licensed somebody to sell alcohol? Is that they have a million little rules and tripwires to get people, and this guy is just basically hanging out to get fines on people and generate revenue for the government and trip people up on all these little regulations that they've got. And he didn't expect, I guess he was kind of embarrassed that your friend just had a tea and not any alcohol.
Yeah, he really felt embarrassed that he was wrong.
But he wouldn't admit it. Yeah,
he couldn't admit it. So instead of him saying, hey, you know what, I was wrong, it's sweet tea, I had a bad day, I've had bad experiences today, you guys go and get your drinks, have a good time, be sure you don't hang around. We just said, well, thank you, sir. I mean, both of our mothers raised us well. He's a former military soldier. He's been in there for 5 years, served in Iraq. His mother is an actual police officer in New York. So, it's not like he's dealing with thugs here. So,
let me ask you, did he threaten you because you were videotaping? Did he make any threats against you to tell you to stop?
Well, no, he didn't tell me to stop because I do know if someone asks you to stop videotaping them, you know, from what I've read, it's, you know, you have to stop videotaping them unless it's an actual crime being committed. And, you know, either way.
Well, no, actually, that's not true. They've tried to do that over and over again. And in Illinois, they actually made a law that said for each incident, it was 15 years. And they got one guy for 5 instances. They were going to try to set him up for 75 years. It's been struck down repeatedly over and over again by courts. You have a right, everyone has a right to film the police in public going about their duty. There is no expectation of privacy, and if they're doing their duty and doing the right thing, there's nothing for them to be ashamed of. Right. And so, you know, over and over again in one jurisdiction after another, the police are ignoring the court findings, ignoring our God-given, constitutionally recognized rights, and telling people they don't have a right to film. So I was kind of surprised that he didn't really come. He seemed like the kind of guy that would try to come down hard on you for filming as well. But you say he didn't do that? Well,
what he did tell me to do was get off the premises before I get arrested.
Oh, okay.
He told me. So, you know, but from my guess, I would guess that he wanted me to stop filming, and that was his excuse to, you know, get off the premises. But what I did was I simply drove around the curb to Burger King, which is on the other side of the tree, and I stood on Burger King's parking lot and said, I'm off of your premises now, but you can't stop me from recording.
That's right, yeah. And I think you said some other people recorded it as well, right?
Yeah, a few people that were on the scene did record it.
Well, see, that's the key thing. We've got to watch each other's backs. You know, this isn't even about alcohol or not alcohol on the premises. This is about an out-of-control government bureaucracy operating on so many different levels against so many different people. I mean, you know, there could very well be something to do with the fact that you and your friend were black, because we see that, you know, in the war on drugs, there's definitely racially skewed in terms of their prosecution and arrest and jailing and everything. But this is something that affects everybody. And this isn't something that is about North Carolina or about their liquor laws or about black versus white or old versus young or anything. Everybody's got to be concerned about this because they're doing this over and over again on all different types of issues. And the big tool that we've got is what you did, and that is filming and putting it on the internet. We've got to build public opinion to get against this before we can get the politicians to actually move and hold the police accountable. Tell us what your friend is doing. Xstrav is actually going to have a little bit to say about this, isn't he? A commentary and a music video. Yeah.
Yes, actually, he has a music video he's putting together right now that's speaking about the incident, you know, how he feels about it, and he's also he's gonna do an interview with you guys as well, an exclusive. He's contacting me to let me know that he's gonna do it, and you know, he wants to thank everyone for the support, because we realize that without the people, as you said, the public opinion actually speaking up, it wouldn't have made a difference. You know, if I'd have posted the video on YouTube and got 200 hits, you know, nothing never would have happened. But because it affected so many people, and it's just like you said, listen, it's not a black or a white thing. You know, it's more, I guess black people are targeted more only because they feel like we're the easier target based on finances, and he probably doesn't have a lawyer, you know, and things like that. It's easier to prosecute. But the truth of the matter is, it's happening to everyone.
Absolutely.
And if they feel you're an easy target, whether you're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, it's going to happen to you unless, you know, until you actually take a stand to record it and do something about it.
Exactly. I've had Jim Gierak from Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. These are retired prosecutors and policemen who are speaking out against the war on drugs and prohibition. And basically, it's a corrupting thing. You know, it corrupts the police, it corrupts the prosecutors. When they can prey on the helpless in society, it's just a matter of time before they start coming after the people who aren't quite as helpless, until they start coming after everybody. And if we don't check them on this, if we don't pull this back, it is something that affects everybody. And even if it isn't affecting you now, even if you're not going to jail because of marijuana, because you don't use marijuana or something, you still have to pay the taxes to put these people in jail. And there's still a big business going on. It builds the police forces. They're making lots of money by the property they confiscate. And there's a huge prison industry that has a very big lobby that is trying to get this stuff going. And that's one of the reasons why they pick on the poor and the helpless, because they know they can get them in their prison system and they can make a lot of money. They can make $50,000 plus each year on every person they put in prison. So they've got a real perverse incentive to do this sort of thing. And then on the other hand, we see that when there's these incidences of police brutality, they don't ever bring these officers to justice. What may happen is they might get suspended with pay. Maybe they'll get suspended without pay. They never get fired. They never get jailed, no matter how brutal what they're doing is. We never see that happening. And so you have to get the information out there. You've got to film it. You've got to put it on the internet, and we'll try to get it to as many people as we can. It's a really important story, and when somebody sees this video, one of the reasons it's going viral is because it has to make any person who has any sense of justice angry, really, really deeply angry to see something like this. I mean, it really does when I see that kind of thing.
When it first happened, I just want to say that I was frustrated, and that's probably why you heard a few derogatory words come after a while. It just hurt. It's something that hurts you to know that, hey, I'm a good guy. We're good guys here.
Yeah, right.
You may watch rap videos and stereotype and say, oh, his pants are hanging, or he's drinking iced tea. He may have, but you're totally wrong. And I tell everyone all the time, given the situation, look at it this way. We all love our kids.
That's right.
If that was your 24-year-old son, no matter what color or whatever, you would be extremely, extremely mad.
And we just had the video up there where they're putting him down on the ground. It's not just our freedom they're after, it's our dignity.
Yes.
That is such a humiliating thing. And it's a humiliating thing to be charged by somebody, with the tea thing, to say, let me have your canister of tea, let me smell your canister of tea or whatever. And he's just drinking tea and the guy won't leave him alone. But it's what we see with the TSA in the airports. And they're coming after both our freedom and our dignity. They're trying to dehumanize us, and they're trying to enslave us. And people need to wake up and do something about it. Well, thank you so much, Tino, for filming this, for putting it out, for speaking up. And I know that Xstrav is going to have a great video because he can really speak to this from the heart. And having experienced this, it's going to be a great video. We're really anxious to see that.
Hey, and if I could say one last thing, make it quick. So I'm going to make it quick. If anyone wants to get any updates from me about the situation, they can follow me on Twitter at TinoBrown315. And I really appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to have a voice. And I really appreciate all the people that watched it, that made a phone call, that filed a complaint, that stood behind us. June 6th is his court date in Fayetteville. I have quite a few people that are actually going to show up. If anyone wants to support in any type of way, even if it's just a comment online, please do. We appreciate it, and thank you, sir.
Great, and that's Tino Brown. That's BROWN 315. Okay, yes. Great. Okay, thank you, Tino.
Thank you.
Well, that just underscores the importance of recording these events in public. And although the police will try to intimidate you and will sometimes lie to you about your right to do that, you do have a right to do that. It's been upheld by several courts. And even if the police confiscate your equipment, Darren McBreen spoke to Luke Radowski yesterday, and he talked about how you can forensically get that recovered. So always stand up for your rights. The police have nothing to fear from being filmed in public doing their duty if they're doing the right thing, if they're not doing something like arresting somebody for drinking tea in a parking lot. Now, our new issue of the magazine, InfoWars, just came out, and this magazine is a real collector's item. Not only is it something that's very important in light of what's just happened in the Boston Marathon bombing, our crew went into extra overtime on this to do major rewrites because of the marathon bombing that happened just before they went to press. But also in the magazine, as you'll see here, we've got some bumper stickers. We got 3 bumper stickers here in the magazine. There we go. You can see that there. And, you know, one of the things I like about Alex is when the government tries to intimidate him and tell him that he can't put bumper stickers on the car and park them in Austin, or you've got the LA government trying to fine him because somebody put a bumper sticker somewhere of InfoWars, like they don't do that with Obama all the time, everywhere. When those types of things happen, Alex doubles down, because if you don't stand up for your freedoms, just like we were talking about videotaping, if you don't stand up for your freedoms, you lose them. You lose them by intimidation. You lose them by not exercising them. So get this issue. It's a wonderful collector's issue, and it's got bumper stickers that you can put in legal, lawful places, and you can figure out where that is yourself. But it's also a collector's item. This is all about false flags, and they did a great job of putting the history of false flags in there, so it's a great piece to help people wake up. Also, please consider getting a subscription to Prison Planet TV. Just one subscription will allow you to share that with up to 10 other people simultaneously. The cost of the subscription helps to pay for our bandwidth and to help to fund our operation here. Well, that's it for tonight. We'll see you again on Monday at 7 Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Kind of Kafka-esque situation that we've got coming up here. There was a rapper, his name is Xstrav, and we've got him here. He was just filming a music video, and as they finished the rap on it, they went over to an ABC store in North Carolina and were about to get something else to drink, but they had just gotten out of the car when this incident happened. A terrible miscarriage of justice. He's now facing charges that are much more serious than if he had been drinking alcohol in the parking lot of the building that sells alcohol. But again, it sounds like something out of Franz Kafka's Well, imagine you're in a parking lot and you're drinking iced tea, and some person who's not in a uniform and doesn't show you his badge comes up and demands to know what you're drinking. And when you speak back to this individual, you're arrested for resisting arrest. That's right. Drinking tea shouldn't be a crime, should it? Well, this is the kind of parking lot, wasn't
it? Exactly, so I have no clue.
Wow. And so you resisted arrest because he wanted to arrest you for drinking tea, right?
I guess so, sir.
Wow. Well, tell us a little bit about it. We spoke to Tino Brown, the fellow who was doing the filming for your music video, and who also filmed the incident and put it up on the internet. And he explained to us this afternoon when we talked on the radio, and then we had an interview with him earlier. Novel, The Castle. It is a really bizarre situation, but we've got Xstrav on the line right now. Let's talk to him and get a little bit of what it feels like to be in his shoes. Xstrav? Welcome, Xstrav. Sorry about what happened to you. Tell us a little bit about what led up to that, and actually tell us what your charges are at this point.
Right now, they charge me with trespassing in the second degree and resisting arrest.
Trespassing in the second degree. What's the theory behind you trespassing? That was a public error, which we're going to play after your interview. And he told us from his perspective, but tell us from what it was like for you to have this happen to you from a first-person standpoint.
Oh, this was horrible. It was a horrible situation. I wouldn't want nobody to go through the situation I went through. It just started off as something innocent. Like, I was really about to go into the store. I was just waiting for some people to come in just to get some bottles of alcohol or whatever. We just had a video that same day, just finished shooting. I guess Tino was just getting some more footage. You know, I hopped out the car, playing around with my